Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are and whenever you are. Welcome to the community live stream. My name is Chuck Tomasi from ServiceNow, and this is the show that takes you on a journey of discovery and learning and exploration to get you the answers behind the answers on the community, to show you what it takes to get those so that you can take those skills of discovery and reverse engineering and all that good stuff and bring it to your organization and be a more effective ServiceNow developer and administrator. So that's what we're here to do today. This is unscripted. This is unrehearsed. This is raw and unedited. And you will see mistakes made and we will all learn together. That's the goal. So thank you very much for joining. Let's get on with the pre-roll. If you are watching on YouTube, thank you very much. Don't forget to click the like button if you find something helpful in this video. If you find something entertaining, go ahead and click that like so that others know there is something useful there. The URL is right there. You can subscribe to the link, very much appreciated, and turn on the notifications, and you will get notifications as it comes up. Shall we check? Shall we check? I love doing this part. There it is. We've got the notification that it is on the screen on my phone. So yes, indeed, it does work. So good morning to all the regulars that are tuning in. Good morning, Carolyn and Mikola and Guyan, or is it Gian? You're going to have to help me with that one. James, good to see you back. Thank you, and welcome to everybody who is joining. We'll get all those other people who are just getting their notifications a chance to log in. So like button, subscribe, notifications on YouTube. We also do this on Twitch. In case you need a backup plan, the audio is off, the video didn't work, whatever it is, and I haven't had a chance to upload the MP4 from my side to YouTube to fix it or overwrite it. Well, if everything technically goes sideways, then I just turn things off and walk away. That's how it works. I try to do this show every weekday as possible when there isn't a holiday or a work conflict or I'm not flat in bed with a head cold or something. That's when I try to get here just to have fun with you and hang out and show you what's in my head, what's been working on, latest projects, things I've learned from many people like you, and we can all share. That's what the community is really all about. So catch that on YouTube or Twitch at the link you see there, twitch.tv/NOWCommunity. Very much appreciated. If you've got a ServiceNow question, please be sure to post that in the community so that our tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, there's lots of people in the community that can jump in and help. I'm always astounded at the creativity and the intellect, the level, the depth of knowledge that people bring to the community. And that's how I learn too, is to get engaged with these. I just learned a new one this morning. You can put script in the recipients fields in an email client. We did the email client webinar last Tuesday, and somebody posted in the comments this morning, said, hey, guess what? Aside from just putting opened _by, you can do JavaScript : something and make it more dynamic for the to, the from, the CC. Like, wow, that's really cool. You don't have to do that through a mail script because mail scripts don't run in email clients. So having that capability is very much appreciated. And if you like, you put that into a script include. There you go. Now you can use it in a notification or in a notifications mail script. Anyway, way off track. Learning something new every day. That's the way I like to do it. Lieberger, hello to you too. It's community.servicenow.com. Make sure you put that in the right sub-community, the right choice over here on the right, left. I'm looking at a mirrored screen. So over on the left, and you can see the choices there. So if something is related to HR, put it in human resources. That way you'll get people that know HR, that are watching it, that are monitoring, that live there, and they will have more of a chance. They're the subject matter experts. I'm not a subject matter expert on HR, so I generally don't go for those questions. It's not because I don't like you. It's because I haven't had experience and exposure to HR service delivery modules. Sorry, there's only so much time in a day and knowledge I can fit in my head. So I tend to focus on the platform, custom applications, integrations, just general APIs and technical stuff that I feel has a wide breadth of, that goes across all applications, whether it's HR, ITSM, CSM, what have you. These are good skills for any administrator or developer to know. So good morning to everyone who is joining in. It's awesome to see you today. So aside from the community, I also encourage you to go over to the developer portal at developer.servicenow.com, where you can get free personal developer instance, free learning plan, APIs, videos, in-person and online meetups. It's all over the place. There's all kinds of events. The share portal, there's tons of learning and documentation in here, and more coming all the time. You'll also get the newsletter that I believe is coming out next week. So be sure to go over to developer.servicenow.com, set yourself up a free account, get started on that if you want to be a ServiceNow developer, regardless of what your skill level is. If you've never built an app before, if you don't have any scripting ability, there's content here for you. And I encourage you to start doing that. We call those people builders. Those are like the process owners and the business analysts who are no coders but want to get something done. Kick them out of Excel, get them over here, and start learning how to make your business more efficient. I've got a pet project in one of our departments right now to kill a spreadsheet and Word documents and get this into ServiceNow. Opportunities abound once you know where to look for them. The only issue is bandwidth. Well, hallelujah, now you can enable those people to build their own applications. Say, you know what, get off of that spreadsheet. Just at least start with a table and some columns. Making it a spreadsheet in ServiceNow, and then you can take it to the next level and do reporting or do any type of, you name it, you know what's on the platform with notifications and whatnot. Turn it into a process. So that's effectively what we're looking at doing. I've got a meeting with one of our developers who works on that team today to discuss that project. So enough about that. The developer portal is over at developer.servicenow.com. If you want to check out the meetups, you can either go to events menu right here, or make sure that you are registered for one of these events over at meetup.com/pro/ServiceNow dev program, where we have over 50 chapters. And what's our total? We're coming up on 17,000 members worldwide. So thank you very much for that. I think probably 15,000 of those are in India. They're very popular over there. Someday I might just make it there. Not sure yet. Doesn't look like it's on the agenda quite yet, but looking forward to meeting up with you when the time comes. Or you can come over to Knowledge 20 in next May, and I'd be happy to shake hands, say thank you, get a selfie of you, with you, to you, at you, whatever the prefix is that I'm looking for. Crazy morning today. So let's get started. Meetups are a whole lot of fun. We had one in Phoenix last week. Looking forward to the next one. After the meetups, not really much coming because I don't have any slides ready for the next webinar yet. But our next webinar, just to let you know, is on, June? No, it's July now. July 2nd. This is July 2nd, 2019. I should have mentioned it at the top of the show. And July 30th, we're having one on automated test framework, the new features that have come out in Madrid, parameterized testing, and testing custom UI pages. Join us as Shriti Verma joins us for that. Looking forward to that very, very much. We've got another one, a surprise one on August 6th, and then another one on the 20th. So like within 3 weeks, we've got 3 or 4 weeks, we've got 3 Tech Nows coming up. It's going to be a busy month. And getting prepared for all of that, plus a lot of other projects. However, that aside, if we do write any code today, it will be in a folder called 2019-07-02 in that bit.ly link that you see right there. That's a GitHub repository of the scripts that I write on this show so that you can get them and share them and take them and break them and make them your own. Learn from them. That's the way I started out my scripting way, way back when, almost, I dare say it, almost 40 years ago. Chuck's getting old. And I encourage you to do the same. Experiment. That's what it's all about. If you try that on your personal developer instance, what have you got to lose? Because if you wreck it, come back and wipe it and do it again. Most of this stuff is non-volatile. It's not going to delete anything unless you change something to say delete. All right, short intro today. Let's get started with the community. So let's go back to the community tab, do a quick refresh. Almost tempted to drive down to Florida just to meet you, Chuck. If I got PTO, I would. Carolyn would love to see you. Or we got to find a way to get a developer meetup started in your neighborhood. We can do that. Hello to everybody who's joined. I'm going to do a quick refresh on the screen start here. I do have a couple of topics in mind for later in the show, so stick around. I usually do a few of these, take the random questions out of the community, and then find a deep dive topic, something that I've learned, something that somebody shared that we can go into in a little more detail. Yesterday was nothing but deep dive topic. If you missed it, I encourage you to watch the episode from July 1st. It was pretty much 100% glide record. Somebody said, hey, can you teach me about glide record? I said, sure. We started with some basic stuff and worked into some more advanced. The script is, of course, in the repository, so if you want to take that and follow along, you're more than welcome. But if you haven't done glide record queries, or you just want to see if Chuck had a secret method in his back pocket, I didn't cover every potential function. I covered some of the more popular ones and why you would want to use them. So be sure to watch that one if you'd like. Let's start with some unreplied questions. This is where I always get a little nervous, hoping there's something in here that we can all learn from. How to check if listener is on or off in workflow. Let's find out what this is about. This is the classic workflow. We have a requirement. We need to check if the listener is on or off in workflow. Based on that, we'll trigger the task. I am vaguely remembering the term. That was interesting. I clicked the link and the URL went into the search box. Vaguely recalling the term listener. So workflow, listener. There may or may not be a method to do this. Connectors and listeners. You can create custom connectors and listeners, provided listeners do workflow events. So we're trying to listeners. There we go. What is a workflow listener? Okay, listeners. Join activity. Activity complete. Activity one on other event. It sounds like an event. This font is very large, making it difficult for me to read this. But you know what? That's just a poorly formatted table. It doesn't matter how big the font is. It's just tough to read. This is too many columns. Okay, so listener. What is a workflow listener? Let's see. Approval coordinator both registers for the events and triggers the event. The child approvers have listeners that determine their approval states. It sounds like it's an event kind of thing. The listener event is passed to the parameter on listener action. So, why do you need to know that is my first question. We have a requirement where we need to check if a listener is on or off in the workflow. It sounds like different activities. On that, we will trigger a task. Okay. Can you share the idea of the workflow? I've never heard of anybody interested. I've never heard of anyone who needs to know the state of the listener. They usually operate in the background transparently. I'd be interested in your use case. I didn't spell that right. I missed an N. There we go. So let's see if we can find another page that describes them a little bit better. Search results, connectors and listeners. Event management. I'm in ITOM. That's not what I'm looking for. No. I typed in workflow listener. Event-specific workflow activities. There's not even the word listener in there. Enable LDAP listener. Configure listener transform scripts. That's again in ITOM. No, let's not do ITOM. Can we search in Now Platform Administration, Now Platform Capabilities? Collapse that. Can we also check there? Narrow down my search a little bit. And please don't expand those for me. Maybe user interface. Okay, workflow events in the base system. This might be helpful. Oh, that's what we were just looking for. Just looking at. Sorry to make you read documentation with me, but this is often how the research goes. You know, archaeologists spend a lot of time in the library. That's kind of how I feel right now. not finding an exact definition of what it is and where it is. So, let's see. Do you have any insight to LDAP listeners? Steve, I do not at this point. I don't know much, but for LDAP servers, it checks it changes live in AD. Yep, I know what a listener is, but I've never seen one in the context of workflow and why you would care. Let's check the script includes. This is a journey of discovery. So I want system definition, script includes. And just out of curiosity, is there one called listen? Script listener functions for creating a listener and reacting to changes. You can make a generic one. Glide script listener. Set listener, set record, get attribute, add field, serialize, all serialize delta. I'm not seeing one that says get me the state of it. Set record listener. So apparently there is a listener table somewhere. And this is a generic ECCQ update. That's different. I have a hard time believing the workflow is going through the ECCQ unless you're using a mid server for something. There is a generic workflow script include. Let's see if the word listen falls in here. No, it does not. Okay, let's look for anything that says workflow and script contains listen. Yes, no, no. Okay, I'm out of gas. I don't know where I could look for any examples. Yeah, we need more info. What are you trying to do? This is probably my most popular question in the community. What's the business requirement here? Okay, this is a technical requirement. People don't just come up to you and go, hey, I need you to tell me what the listener state is. They come up and say, hey, I need to trigger a task when this happens. Okay, and you're trying to figure out that the listener is the best way to do it. My understanding at this point of what the listener does is if you do, say, a split on a workflow and you're running parallel tasks and then you have a join at the end, there's a listener that says, I'm going to wait for all things to be done. And then the join then continues. So there may be a better way to implement this than trying to track down what a listener is and what's the state of the listener. Okay. WMI is not supported on HP Gen 10 servers. That's an ITOM question. Not going to go there. Customizing days in a creative video. Oh, by the way, I have heard from our community development team that when you post a new question, we are going to soon, very soon, have a version field in there. So when you say, hey, I'm having an issue, you can say this is with London, Madrid, Kingston, whatever, so that the reader gets an idea of a little bit more context of what you're working on and what version you're working in. So look forward to that. Automated formula indicator, automated formulator, that's all member feedback. We're not going to go in there. Performance analytics and reporting, ITOM. Read XML file. Here we go. This sounds intriguing. I've written a code to consume an external API. I've captured the XML response and I'm able to fetch values of individual nodes using get node text no name. However, I need to fetch the entire XML file, all nodes, and store these in a table. How do I traverse the whole file when I don't know the actual content of XML? It'll be different each runtime. The nodes won't be different. Content may be. Is the node structure changing each time? I would expect the node structure to remain the same if you are making the same API call and the content changing. Example, use show XML on a record, like on an incident, and do it again on a different incident. You get different values, but the same tags. can you please include a couple sample XML payloads that you would like to parse, assuming they are not 30 megabytes each. Well, then a snippet would be helpful. I would find it very unusual that you make a REST call, you get a different set of tags back every time. Okay, even getting a stock quote, you're going to get the high price, the low price, the ticker symbol, the company name, that kind of stuff every time. You'll just get different values for those specific fields. So I need to get an Excel file out of my shopping cart. I'd shop at a different store. Is it possible to use external CSS on an email template, for example, Bootstrap Framework? I have not found a way. I was using not a template, but the layout, and I found that no, I had to put it in there. In fact, I was trying to use a style sheet, and it didn't even work within there. I had to put the style into each tag. It was very painful. So the question is, if there is, I haven't found a way. What you might want to look at is using a layout to span multiple templates. I tried this with style tags and referencing the CSS from those in each HTML tag, but even that failed. I had to revert to inline style attributes on the HTML. Ouch! Yeah, it wasn't any fun. I use this, a template. So let's go to the docs, show you what I'm talking about. And we want email, I believe it was called layouts. Create reusable content for message and a body of messages. Yep, that's what we want. So you can make nice, clean, formatted stuff. Let's put that in a tag, link, paste, next, new, done. I use this on a template, then the template in the notification, and everything worked nice. In fact, I just used this yesterday because I go to my TechNow dev instance. These are kind of cool. Ta-da. I built this around the TechNow app. Let me take you to the notification. First, system, notification, notifications, and somewhere in here I have my updated. That's updated. Nope, I need the date updated. Fine, we'll just call it TechNow. It's not called TechNow. What's it called? Where's my notification? Heck with it. Go to Studio. It knows where my notification is. Collapse all, notifications, notification, question posted. So when you go to a seminar and you post a question, whether we answered it online or answered it later, you will get an email after we've answered them all in this application and say, go, punch them out. So this email notification doesn't really have a whole lot of content to it. It uses the template TechNow Q&A. And if you look at the template Q&A, it uses an email layout called TechNow. And the email layout is called, it's called TechNow. It has my HTML in there. And this has, see what I had to say? I had to say, put all the style right in there. Yuck. Okay. Not my favorite way of doing it, but it worked. Once I debugged it in, this HTML beautifier and said, okay, the style is the way I want, because I was tweaking the CSS going, no, 5 points here, 6 points there. And then once I got that, I just posted it in wherever I had the tags. So debug the HTML and CSS somewhere else, because this is kind of a pain to go through. Let's see, this one had an 18px, this one had an 18px. It's like, now just change the tag and then you can do a search and replace and fix it yourself. And then this is really the framework for this whole thing. The key to getting your notification body in there is right there, where it says, this is where I want to drop in the notification body. And then I have some resources at the bottom that are hard-coded into this template. So it puts a nice framework around. You've probably seen this when you get a message from Hi or you get a message from ServiceNow. This is sort of the standard formatting with the green header that wraps a little bit around the sides and then the gray all around the bottom. So your body's right in the middle. You know what it looks like. I could do a preview for you, but not here, not now. That's email layouts. Very nice. Recommend them if you've got corporate branding that you want to do. You can define this once and be done with it. Again, go and look at email layouts on here. They're pretty easy to construct once you get past like anything else that involves CSS. 90% of your time will be tweaking that CSS. But if you do this externally, not the way I did it, do it externally and then bring it in, and then you can do a search and replace and put it as inline CSS. Again, not optimal, but it does the trick. Need to get next to Google Maps. Did they post this in 2 different places? Need to get an Excel out of my cart, or did I just read it twice? Okay. Let's refresh the screen. It's been a few minutes. See if we can get a few more. Nothing in the inbox to respond to yet today. Unreplied. Macro variable is not working in Portal. That's probably because UI macros are not supported in Portal. In maintain item, I created one field to display knowledge number, and we'll open the article. We gave variable type as macro with the label, but not working in Portal. That's because macros are written in Jelly, which is not supported in Service Portal, which uses Angular JS. These are 2 different technologies, 2 different incompatible technologies. You're going to have to look at something else like a custom widget if you want that information exposed. Sorry, that was made known back in Helsinki when it came up with Service Portal, I believe it was. There's the WMI thing. Let's go down a little further. Google Maps integration, I need to get an Excel file, IT view announcements, need examples of updating incident table. We can take a look. Hi friends, I was needing examples of updating incident table through script to update status field, notes field, and also upload an attachment via a SOAP call. Okay. Via a SOAP call. So the SOAP API, the attachment is going to be interesting. Because of the attachment, you're going to need to do this in 2 calls because the attachment isn't on the incident table. It's actually on the sysattachment table. Did I spell that right? Not yet. Attachment table. So upload the incident first. You can see examples of this in SOAP. I forgot how annoying SOAP was. Once you start doing Rust, it's actually pretty nasty. You can do a scripted web service. That's what I'm looking for. Scripted web service. It's the predecessor. It's the SOAP version of a scripted REST API. Create a scripted web service. I remember watching David Liu do this at, I think it was Knowledge 12. Scripted SOAP web service. There it is. Creating a new web service. You go to scripted web service. It's called scripted SOAP service now. There's some examples, retrieving a system property, blah, blah, blah. Put that into your script. Looks good. Let's take that link. Get rid of that window. We don't need that. You can do this with a scripted web service. Put a link to that. Then you make yourself your own endpoint. This creates your own endpoint. You can also do this with the table API. Each table contains its own WSDL and SOAP API. I don't know if I've talked about this one too much. If you go to any table, let's say incident, our favorite table. We go to incident.list, and you can see from the URL that it says go to incident_list.do. If you put on there WSDL, this is the web service definition language for this application, or for this table. And of course, it didn't do anything for me. But I'll do this in another window this way, with just the instance incident.do $WSDL. You can request the WSDL. This is like a definition. What can you do? What fields do you have? What are they called? What are their types? What are the functions you can do? So there's get response is a function, get key responses is a function. I have not played around with these for a very, very long time. Get records, okay, update response, insert. You kind of get the idea. If you want to create a new record, you call the insert function, and here are the fields you must use. Well, active caused by, yada, yada, yada. A good tool to use is SOAP UI if you want to practice and play around with some of this stuff. So once you download the WSDL, it tells the consumer system, because ServiceNow in this case would be the producer. It's producing the data you want, and your third-party app is consuming it. Once you've consumed that, you get the WSDL. It goes, oh, this is what I'm allowed to do, and that then understands if I want to update a record, this is what I need. Now, you don't need to send all of these records to. You send them as parameters and say, I just want to update the close code and the close nodes to close out and the state. Okay, you could send that in a SOAP request and just say, these are the three fields I want. You don't have to send along sysupdated and update. You obviously want to send a sysID as well. Sorry, that'd be kind of important. Tell it what record you want to update. You could also do, what is it? There's some other prefixes here, XML. If you want to get that XML format, this is pulled up a brand new form, so there's nothing in it. It just generated me new sysID. I'm sorry, pulled up some random record. I don't know where that came from. So XML is a suffix you can put on there. XLSX. So if I said incident under list.do $XLS, it will download me a list of incidents in Excel format that way. Okay, notice my URL went back. I don't know if it does the new Excel format. It does. Okay, so you can get either the old Windows 2000 version or the newer XLXS format. JSON will tell you this same information in a, used to. Was it JSON v2? Yeah, JSON v2 gives you that record information in a JSON format. And I think PDF still shows you a PDF of that. Yes, no? These are processors. This is just using, I told you a few days ago that most anything you say on this URL is a processor. If it ends with .do, a processor is under here. So if you go to system definition processors, you can see there's one called XML processor. And it's in Java, but you could still get a handle on this. Parameters is what shows up after that URL. So if I put a question mark XML, it's going to run whatever background code is on this XML processor to generate that XML for me. If I look for when that is, excuse me, contains JSON, I've got the JSON v2 processor, puts that on there, and anything that is in Java, you're not going to be able to see the code for. However, if you put not equal to Java, you can see the ones that are in script. Anything interesting in here that is in script? Oh, maybe download file. Take a look at these. Think of them as an earlier version to scripted REST APIs. They are an endpoint at which you can pass parameters to, and you can interact. You can build your own. I built mine to export a whole bunch of XML from related records all at one time. And you can get parameters from the command line. So this one has a sysparm parent, sysparm child. You can call them whatever you like. Sysparm is just sort of a convention that ServiceNow uses to indicate this is a system parameter that I'm going to pass to a processor, whatever. You see sysparm view, sysparm query, that kind of thing. It's just sort of a standard. And has a couple of objects in here, gRequest and gResponse. If you create one now, I believe it puts it inside of function and passes these to you for protection against other things interfering with it. That is a good practice. So I am in the tech now. If I go new, I can create a new script. And yeah, it does put it in a function. So get gRequest, gResponse, and gProcessor are the objects. Not terribly well documented, but if you look at some examples, you kind of get the idea of what you can do. There's input, there's output. I tend to gravitate more towards scripted REST APIs now, but these are still useful. I don't want to leave that. I want to leave that. All right. Speaking of script, I want to talk to you about script actions. I wrote a blog article on this a long time ago. Let's leave that. I'm going to go back to my personal developer instance. This is running Madrid, by the way. Rahul asks, well, how do we get a paid plugin list? I think it's London and later, if you go to, I think Madrid took this over, but the system applications, look under all available applications, you'll get a list. And if you click paid, it will whittle that down. So agent schedule, paid. Who created it? ServiceNow. That is one way to get that. Okay, that was a quick answer. The, where was I going? Script actions. Script actions are event driven. So there's times in your application, in your platform, in your configuration, where you want to trigger things as a record is updated or inserted or whatever. That would be a trigger for a business rule. A lot of systems call these database triggers. ServiceNow calls them business rules. So that's one case. There's times when you want something to run on a scheduled basis. This would be a good opportunity for a scheduled job or Flow Designer. Actually, triggering on a record update would also be another good use case for Flow Designer as well. So we got sort of a classic version and a new version. Flow Designer will do both the job of business rules and scheduled jobs. There are times when you want them to run, you want to run a script as something happens, event driven. That's a bit different. It may not even be related to a record update. It might just be when somebody logs in, an event happens. So let me back up and talk to you a little bit about events. So under system policy, there's the events registry. These are the events that ServiceNow knows about. Currently, I see about 476, some of which are probably mine. If it starts with an X underscore, it's probably mine. I don't have any events in here. Surprise, surprise. I thought I had something somewhere. Okay. If I wanted to know user view, you can find out what events are happening in the event log. Attachment deleted, attachment deleted, attachment deleted. That's lovely. Glide heartbeat. Let's group by name, and you can see some of the ones that have been happening today in the last almost 7 hours since my instance started its day. Session established. Login. Okay, there's probably various services. Developer program at SNC admin likes to log in, check, make sure it's up to date. Okay, Chuck Tomasi logged in at from this IP address, blah, blah, blah. You can also see user view. This is when somebody changes forms. Okay, normally I would expect to see parameters in there, but interesting, there's not. I can create my own events as well. It starts with the registry. So let's create one. I'm in global at the moment, so it's not going to have any prefix. In fact, if I did this in a scope, you would see that the event name will now be prefixed, and I just say the suffix. So let's do run script, and its suffix is the scope name with run script. Suffix, the event names are typically something dot something. They often start with a table. In a scoped application, they don't. So if you're looking for your incident events, like incident.updated, these are defined by ServiceNow to be triggered when an incident is updated. It goes, hey, I triggered an event. So what? Well, there's two things that can react to an event. One is a notification. The other is a script action. So let's put this on my CLS item table. Somewhere in here. Let's put it on the person table. I specify this event is against this table. So I don't just broadcast this event to everybody. It's specific to a table. I can use these two fields, fired by and description, to indicate who's going to trigger this. It could be a script include, it could be a workflow script, it could be a lot of things. I'm just going to say scripts background. Description. Test script to run a script action. Okay, the script action is triggered by this event. All I'm doing here is registering. I'm saying, I now have an event that's available. I can't just make up and throw things into the event queue engine. They have to be registered first. Next, I want to take and make a script action. So let's make a script action under system policy script actions, and call this one CLS demo script. Okay, the event name, pick it from a list. This is why I needed to register it first. We'll start with X underscore, there it is, CLS run script. So when this event happens, defaulted to active. I don't know why active is not default true on script actions. It's one of the few places it's not. I can have a condition that also checks. Now keep in mind, script actions do not have a current or previous object like business rules do. I'm not operating on anything because it just came out of the blue and said, hey, I'm announcing this run script action. It's time to run. Great. What context do I have it in? However, you do have access to a couple of objects. One is called the event object. Event. This is why you don't name your records, tables, fields, event. Terrible name. You'll get caught by something in here somewhere. Event has access to the event that triggered it. Let's go look at the docs and script action is use script actions to create server-side scripts for a variety of tasks. They're triggered by an event. Script actions are triggered by events only. Okay, and in your script, you have access to, you do have access to current. I apologize, I forgot about that. Event, which is a glide record, it's the sys event that caused it to be invoked. Now, when I trigger this, I pass it some parameters that I'll get to in a bit, and I've got access to that and the record. And current is the event scheduled on behalf of the incident, for example. Let's go back to my personal developer instance, and I'm not going to put any condition in here, but if you wanted to filter when this runs, maybe it shouldn't run between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. for whatever reason. I am going to put in here a gs.info hello world in my script. Okay, I'm going to copyright that code so you can't steal it. It's a terribly impressive script. I will save that. And now let's get to the part where I write the script. I'm going to trigger an event with GS event queue. So somewhere in my server-side scripts could be a UI action that does one thing and then says, go trigger this and make it run in the background. That's really what script actions are for, is run this in the background whenever the event gets processed. I really don't care if it's in half a second or in 10 seconds or in 30 minutes. It's just going to happen, and I'll trust that the event engine has everything. You pass it the event name, which was this name. Can't remember that so well. 66238, got it. X underscore 66238 underscore CLS 528 dot run script. Am I right? I'm right. Okay. Second parameter is a glide record, something that you want to pass in so that it can process. Oftentimes out of a business rule or UI action, this would be current, but you could make it any glide record you want. If it was coming out of a scheduled job, you would have to do a glide record query to go get that. So let's say for fun, we're just going to set this up as var person gr equals new glide record. And let's get it from that table that I just had. This is going to be from this table underscore person. And then I will get whatever record I can get. pgr dot query. If harkens back to yesterday, right? Very simple glide record query. pgr dot next. Just get one of them because there's only like one or two records in that whole table. I really don't care. I'm just getting a record. I could, if I don't have a glide record, I can pass a null in here and go, forget the whole glide record thing. Don't worry about it. But in this case, I want to show you that you can pass the glide record in, but you have to define it. If I'm running this from scripts background, there's no current, so I have to do something here. Then there's two text parameters you can pass, and I'm simply going to call them parm1 and parm2 for uber simplicity. Okay, else gs.error could not read a record. Try again. Put that out there. Very simple script. Let's go to scripts background and run that. And click that. Run that. And all it did is says, okay, I threw this event into the event queue. How do you know? Because in the event log, if I sort by created, I can see there's my event name. It's wonderful. So at 6:48:06, the event name went in. There's my two text parameters, parm1 and parm2. There's the table it's running against, and it was processed and took a whole whopping 10 milliseconds to run, which means somewhere in the system logs, I have a hello world message because that script ran and did what it was supposed to. Not terribly useful in this case. So let's go back to script actions, get my new latest and greatest favoriteest script action, which I called, can't remember, but it started with an X, easy to find. Let's do something a little more exciting. We know we have a record, so let's get some of the information out of there. I've got current and event. So let's do gs info current equals, and I'll just do current dot get display value to see what that record is that I got. And let's also print out parm1 equals, a little consistency here, Charles, event.parm1 plus parm2 equals event.parm2. this will come out as 3 separate log messages. So just to show you that I can get my hands on that information, go back to scripts background. And problem was clicking that today. Paste that in and trigger the event again. Go to the logs and hey, there's an issue. Okay. Says script run by Chuck Tomasi. Oh, that's just informative. It says, guess what? Script background was run by you. Have a nice day. Check it again. Took a few seconds. I got to the log before the script actually ran, which tells me that the event processor doesn't run immediately. There may be some latency involved. Be prepared for that. That's why I said, if you don't care if it runs in a few seconds, that's great. You can see I ran this at 19 seconds, and at 33, it actually logged these. So it took 14 seconds for this to get processed. What was the system doing up until then? I don't know. And frankly, I don't care because I told the event engine, you deal with it. I don't care. So the display value on that table was in fact mine. If I look at the person's record, one of those records is me, one is my dad's name, and life is good. I can see from that, there's my hello world, there's my parm1, not too exciting because I call the variables the same as the values, kind of crazy, and there is the display value. Also note, these did not come out in the order I put them in. Okay. When you run a script, look at the resolution time on here. It's down to the second. The system is just going, okay, you get what you get. I could have a for loop that counts 1 through 10, and it may not show up as 1 through 10 in the log file. So don't be surprised if these are a little out of order. If I remember, no, it's not in here. I thought we had a milliseconds somewhere, but it's not in this log. It's in a different log. So keep that in mind. That goes for not just script actions, but for any scripts that you're running that are doing GS infos. Do you have an index or some description somewhere of all of these sessions you are doing, Chuck, in case I need to view back to the recordings and search for a specific topic? I started cataloging them about this time last year about what the topics are. An index? No, but what you can do in the community is search, because they're all uniquely named. You search for NOWCommunity live stream. I believe that's what it is. And I believe it's just blog entries. Where's the type? Well, this bites. I might have to make an app to make an index or make a script to make an index. One more thing to do. The other way is you can go under my profile. So find something that I wrote. Search for me. Okay. And you can click somewhere in here. I thought it said people. Search is not being very friendly. Knowledge or documentation. I'm not in knowledge or documentation. If you find something by me, which shouldn't be too difficult, you click this. Nope, not that. I'm going to find it. I'm going to find it. You got to get to my profile. Here, I know. Go over here. Click my name. I'm on the leaderboard on the main page. And then under, I believe it's activities. Not activities. Content authored. Content authored. Blogs. You will find video, 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 video. And each one of those, for example, the one I did on June 28th, has the topics and links to the articles right at the top. So I always put those in. You asked for it. I'm going to find a way to improve that. This is a little difficult. However, after nearly 200 of these things, that's going to be a really long list. And I'm trying to mentally think of a good layout to do that or a good search. However, when I talk about some of these things, prevent double quotes in enter key on multi-line field, that may have led to a discussion on something else. We may have been talking about notifications by that point or client scripts. So it's the title may be deceptive of what we actually talked about when we get down to it. That's why I'm gonna have to think about that one. This is not as clear cut as I originally thought. Okay, that's script actions, and as I mentioned before, watch for dates and versions on posts. We don't currently have a version in here, so let's just take a random one. It's coming. It's coming. We're going to have, when you post a new question, it will say, developer community version Madrid. So you will know just from glancing at this whether or not you have the capability of answering it, or if it's something specific to that version. Because oftentimes we get into this discussion, here's your solution, and somebody says, well, I'm not running Madrid yet. Okay, well, one more reason to put it on your reason to upgrade list. That's an option. I had an article. I don't know if it's still in my inbox. Let me see. It was about DOM manipulation. See if I can find it real fast. Notify users, check now, change additional comments to red color. There it is. So this one says, I want to change the additional comments label into red color when loading the form. I'm cool with DOM manipulation. I personally am not. And I said that. I said, I recommend against DOM manipulation. It's the leading cause of upgrade issues. Tell whoever made this requirement that it's going to be costly to implement, costly to maintain, and may run into upgrade issues, and see what they say. Is this now a want or a need? Okay. And then I put a link to my blog article that says, ask why. Understand what the business requirement is, and if you don't, keep asking until you do. Somebody else came back, bless her heart. She said, check out the link below. This is from ServiceNowGuru.com. Very well-respected site put on by the people from CrossViews, originally started by Mark Stanger, an early employee from ServiceNow, left about 2012, went off and started CrossViews. This is still maintained. This is still a big part of what they do. And but watch the dates, because I looked at this picture and went, wow, that's not the current UI. That's like before 2012 UI, before 2014 UI. This is like really old. This is what I started on as a kid. The hints are the green back arrow, these gray field labels. You can kind of tell it's different. And I said, this is old. And somebody said, I want to change this. Okay, so this is nice to have or a need to have. I looked at the script, and yeah, they're doing G-form get control, which is great, but they're looking for specific DOM elements in there. And I went, that could get you into trouble. And I scrolled down here to the date and went, published October 10th, 2011. I'm not so sure I would trust a custom script from 2011 to work as advertised in Madrid. Definitely won't work in Workspace. Has no hope of working on the latest Madrid mobile application. So take it with a grain of salt. Just like anything else on the community, may require modification, may carry risk. This is a customization. And as such, you have to take the risks and costs with that. So that was my one tip. If somebody says, hey, go check out this article, the community's been around since about 2007, 2006. There's some really old articles, including some original ones that I wrote in 2008 and 2009, that you may want to make sure that what is there still works. Now, we rarely, if ever, take anything out of the platform. We want to make sure that customers have an upgrade path. But expecting something from 8 years ago to still work is a big ask. So this might be a good opportunity to test it on your personal developer instance. Maybe upgrade your developer instance, request a personal developer instance on Kingston, try it there, upgrade it to Madrid. Does it still work? If so, you've got some fair confidence that this is a pretty solid script. I'm not going to say that for this script or for any others that you find on the community, on S&C Guru, on any of the other multiple sites that publish ServiceNow solutions. So be aware of what you're asking for and what people give you. As I always publish in the scripts that I put on the community, may require modification. I don't know your entire environment. Sometimes I don't even know what field names you're asking for. So I'll put comments in there that says this is untested. You'll need to modify to use your table name here, that kind of thing. In Madrid, can we delete an application? Yes, you can. You can delete it. However, it may not be gone from the repository memory. In Madrid, if you go to sys_app.list, there's my CLS 528. I'm in the CLS 528 scope. The delete key will show up. sys_app.list is how you would do that. But even if I delete it, it's still going to remember this scope in the application repository. So I can't reuse that name. You're going to have to come up with a unique name every time. So be aware of that. What else do we have? No worries. I think we are at the top of the hour. So with that, I thank you everyone for joining us. Don't forget to click the like button on the video in YouTube or the helpful link on the community. Let other people know there's something useful there so that when they glance through that long list of videos that I've made, they go, this one's got 130,000 likes on it, I wish. It must be really, really popular. Yes, that's the one where Chuck had a dancing cat, because cats make everything on the internet more popular. And that's it for today. I'll leave on that dancing cat note. And we'll see you next time right here. Subscribe, get your notifications, all that good stuff. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye.